What's up, gamers? Welcome to episode 41 of Cinema Curse. Today, we return once again to a place both wonderful and strange with episodes 26 through 29 of Twin Peaks. The end of the original series. Certainly a better batch of episodes than we've talked about recently, featuring the permanent return of David Lynch to the director's chair, because once he sits his ass back down, he's like, no one's fucking touching this thing. I'm your wicked game master, Connor Lloyd Crews. I got a follower from Prismatic Queen, thank you. The Joey Chestnut of talking about movies, Edwin Gomez. I'm not sure exactly where he is, but I was at a diner earlier.
No one does.
Grace,
no one does.
He's driving now. That's the scary part.
He's driving, He's somewhere out on the road. But joining today, I'm excited. We have nearly everyone who's joined on previous Twin Peaks clubs. One person's going to be late, and one person couldn't make it because he is the busiest man on the planet. But joining today, we've got Brian Robert.
What's up, guys?
And Scott Heaton.
Hey, everyone. Good to see ya.
And Alex Olivier.
Hey, everybody.
And Jason Steele.
I mean, the White Lodge, Black Lodge. I mean, what's the big deal?
You got any more? Is this here for a type 5?
No, that's my favorite line from the first episode we're talking about.
I forget what is that line?
It's the guy Wyndham Earl is putting a big vat.
Oh yeah,
that he ends up shooting with the, the arrow.
You mean superstar Ted Raimi?
Yes, Ted Raimi. Yes. Yeah, it's Wyndham Earl's giving a big rant, and he delivers that perfect
of
line.
The Spider-Man trilogy. I would like to thank Marina Sakamoto and her band Shunkin for the use of their song Curse off of the EP She Nods for opening. It's been 300 days exactly since the strike ended, and the AMPTP still sucks. How is everybody doing?
Doing, yeah.
Nice.
Doing good.
I didn't do any day drinking yesterday, so this is only 5%, so it's just one of these. It's not like it's that early or anything. It's it's almost 4 o'clock. Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I've got a fizzy water.
Yeah, but you don't drink.
No, I got a fizzy water.
I also have a fizzy water, but that's over to the side. Yeah, let's get started. Bobby's gonna join us at some point soon. He's, I don't know, out fucking a football with Mike or something. But let's talk first about. I'll keep my head in the way so you can't, because this is the end of the episode. What's going on behind me? So I'll kind of reveal it when we get there. But I'll show that. That's Ted Raimi. He's maybe he's
himself.
Yep. And it's interesting too. I wanted this to be a kind of a bigger episode. For a minute, there was like, Bobby's going to be here. There were 3 other people who I thought this was going to be like a huge episode for a minute. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad it's more like this. One thing I wanted, like, what's interesting is this is kind of the last. I wrote the last sacred ground, and what I mean by that, this is the sort of last stretch of Twin Peaks that I think is generally, there's like a pretty general, like almost 100% consensus across the board as to its quality, because there's a lot of, I think for the most part, all of Twin Peaks is enjoyed, which I think is the correct viewpoint in my opinion, but I do know that there are certain anti-Fire Walk With Me partisans. I know Bobby's not huge on Fire Walk With Me. I know there are anti The Return partisans, including Alex here. Which way? This way?
On both ways.
Which we will talk about more when we get there. But I wanted to have more people on because this is kind of the last time I think we would all be kind of, I think, of mind. Yeah, basically.
Like mind.
Yeah. We open with the owl cave glyph, the big petroglyph in the owl cave, which Briggs has already seen in a dream. I have a shirt of that, but it's a size too small, and I put it on, and I was like, my titties are just popping way too much in this shirt for me to wear on stream. They're gonna be distracting. We get some Wyndham Earl stuff. He's just like the fucking Grinch. He just like hates good things. There's more flute playing, which there's been a lot of menacing flute playing on Cinema Curse lately between Wyndham Earl, Dan Stevens and Cuckoo, and Michael Fassbender in the later Alien movies. A lot of menacing flute playing lately.
Nothing more evil than a flute.
Mm-hmm.
I noted the flute in my note. Every time he plays the flute, I wrote it down in my notes for the episode.
Yeah, well,
it is a very hard instrument to play. So, like, it's I think what they're going for is just the idea that, you know, like you don't just like casually like play the flute. So I think that they're going is like these are all characters that are very like driven.
Yeah. I think the problem there is that the flute might be a difficult instrument to play, but it doesn't look impressive or anything. Like it looks like you should be like skipping through the forest and like leading a band of children.
There's always a lot of weird movement when you see flute playing. You know, it's like you have to do something with your arms and hands, and it adds to a lot of things you can do.
You have to dance around like Pan.
Yeah, it makes you do things.
I mean, what I think is interesting is comparing it to those other two recent uses. And one other use I'll bring up is like flute. I think is like it's like a comedy instrument in a lot of ways, like the flute and the recorder and things like that. Like in Cuckoo, it works because it's supposed to be kind of funny. It's supposed to be like weird and like what the fuck is going on. And even in like the Prometheus and Alien Covenant and stuff, there's also an element of that. And when I think of flute playing, I think of it, more like a comedy instrument, like fucking Anchorman or something. Like, but we also get introduced to Ted as Heavy Metal Youth, as he's credited in the credits, which I like quite a bit. Over with the Packards.
Apparently, his character name, it's not in the credits, but his character name is Rusty Tomasky.
That's a good name. Over at the Packards, Pete writes a poem about Josie while Catherine tries to summon Pinhead. They reveal another layer, and I do like the moment where Pete starts rambling about some story, and then she just like snaps at him. But Miss Twin Peaks, we get some stuff with there. I will say this first episode, we don't get a ton of a story comparatively. It's a lot of like every once in a while we cut back to these guys, and I cut out a lot of that from my notes because essentially it's like Wyndham. It kind of becomes the same beat over and over again. It's like it cuts to them and Wyndham is doing something weird and Raimi's like, whoa, and Leo's like, and you know, and then it cuts away to something else. But we do get some movement on Miss Twin Peaks. Shelley is unimpressed with Bobby as he pitches her on the pageant. Lena, the girl that everyone's horny for, is trying to throw the competition. Ben pitches the committee on eco concerns and feminism, and it's kind of amazing that these guys buy it. Like Doc, who, as we find out, has very specific problems with Ben over these next couple episodes.
Very, very.
I think it's who else is it? Pete, who like clearly should also. I mean, Pete has been made a cuck of by Ben, and the mayor. But I guess Ben is kind of being genuine. And then also Bobby talks to Mike about Nadine, And like, I don't know what he says, what Mike says to Bobby, but I guess her pussy goes crazy. Because he just like freaks out. Like I genuinely, but like I kind of get it. Like I think it's like later like Missionaria Protectiva, like Dune stuff or something going on, which people can just look that up on their own. I'm not gonna elaborate on that. Diner romances. Coop asks Annie out on a boat date, which is scary. I wouldn't go on a first date with someone on a boat. I would. It's because it's the Always Sunny joke. The implication.
Yeah, the implication. Yeah.
I would watch them fuck. I don't buy them the most as like a couple, but they're very charismatic and very good actors and very sweet characters, and
they both have this sort of philosophy talk.
Yeah, I can see why they would. I feel like I don't buy them as like their end game romances, if that makes sense, but they both seem like good them like they would be, if you know the things that happened didn't happen, they would be like a good healing relationship for both of them.
Also, like, did they know the show was going to be ending?
No.
That's why I feel like she feels like, oh, this is a good like first love interest for Coop.
Yeah.
But like you said, not like had like the show gone for like a typical like 6 seasons or whatever, or 10 whatever. Like I don't think it would have been like the story of them staying together. I think eventually it would have happened, you know.
Yeah.
But like even if, I don't think she would have been the final love for Coop.
Wyndham's watching. Also,
Wyndham's always watching.
He's peeping on them. Gordon has a date with Shelley, and we get some more great Gordon lines when Bobby walks in. You are witnessing a front 3/4 view of 2 adults sharing a tender moment. Acts like he's never seen a kiss before. Take another look, Sonny. It's gonna happen again.
It's amazing. It's the ultimate, like, there's nothing you can really say for trash talk that is better than that, really.
Yeah. And what I also really love how it's resolved in the next episode, how they follow it up, because like I think the easier, more boring thing, and I think in some ways, like, I think that's what's interesting about Shelley's relationship with Leo versus Bobby, is that clearly Bobby is like has all of the whatever positive traits Shelley liked about Leo, Bobby has those, but he doesn't have those negative traits in the same way. And Leo clearly would have taken that, been fucking pissed, obviously, about that. But Bobby, I like, allows it to be like a self-reflective moment. And
he takes it as a reflection of his own failures in the relationship,
which is a very,
that defines Bobby's character altogether. Yeah,
for sure.
That's literally his character.
Yeah.
And then Coop overhears Shelley talking about her poem she got, and he recognizes Leo's handwriting. He's starting to put together what's going on there.
I think it's also important to note that in that previous scene with Gordon, he does have 5 slices of pie.
Yeah. Yes. They have bought like 6 slices of pie, which is why they're able to share with Coop and Annie when they come back from their boat date. We get the sommelier. Dick's tip is still sore from it getting bit last time, and it's just a silly sequence, but it's cute. I like. It's probably my favorite bit with Lena, the girl everyone thinks is sexy, when Dick is like, and how do we like absorb these aromas? And she's just like, by smelling. So that's a fun little bit. That's like more, I feel like the traditional season 1, where they'll have like a little section of the episode that's just like, we're being a little silly, you know. As opposed to like having it be entire storylines built around being a little silly. Oh my god.
Yeah, I gotta, like, I've missed the past few episodes, and then I haven't caught up, so, like, I was like, oh, well, I just gotta watch these 4. Yeah. Because, like, when I go back to watch it, I was like, I forgot just what horseshit some of this stuff is. Like, at first it feels kind of charming because it's like, oh, it's nice to see like the town when there's not like when hell isn't laying down on them or whatever. But after a while you're like, okay, but actually now I'd like the hell to come back. That's actually why I'm watching this show.
That describes Lynch basically being like, I gotta fix this shit. Bring it back here.
It is. We talked about this, me and Jason and Bobby, on the last Twin Peaks Club, how like we don't know if it was a placebo effect or what, but it does feel like, because the last episode of the last batch we did is the first one when Gordon reappears, and you can just, it feels immediately like the show gets like way better, like steps back up. Especially because the episodes before that are definitely the worst episodes of probably the show as a whole, but certainly we would all agree of the original show, I think. And yeah, because like the Diane Keaton episode, we talked about this last episode too, that like it's just B plots and it's shot so weird. What a weirdly shot episode. Yeah, I don't know. Diane Keaton must have just been like, man, I'm gonna do so much weird. I'm gonna do so much weird shit. But towards the end of the episode, Coop and Zane have a moment, their only moment together. They're kind of trading off love stories. Like, Coop is thinking about the lady that was brought in to replace Audrey, and he's talking to the guy who was brought in to replace him. And then the ending, we get a dead Ted in the giant pond with the genuinely creepy next time it will be someone you know, which is I think genuinely very creepy.
It's too bad this guy didn't become a regular character.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved that. Man. I love Ted Raimi. He's the dude. He's Hoffman.
His death is when ABC decided to cancel it. They're like, you know what, we're out.
No, he can't just kill Ted like this.
I wanted him as a regular character, and I wanted him just carted around in that vat the whole time.
You give us Heavy Metal Teen and take him away right away?
Heavy Metal Youth, excuse me. Yeah, if he hadn't have been dead, if he'd just been alive here, and then like they aren't able to break him out, and so the rest of the show he's just in the pond getting like moved around.
that would have been a Twin Peaks thing. Yeah, just he wasn't killed, but the other characters can't get him out. So yeah, he's just seen from the scene. He's just carted around.
He kind of looks like what I imagine Leto 2 to look like when he gets his giant worm suit at the end of Children of Dune.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby's here. He's connecting. We'll let him. We'll give him. Let him. Give his thoughts on this first episode. We just finished the first. We're just wrapping up the first episode. You got anything you want to talk about on this one? Because you even.
What was the name of that guy that's behind you?
Ted Raimi's the actor.
Okay.
Rusty Tomasky.
I miss Rusty.
He's credited. Yeah, we were just talking about that. How much we wanted him to be around.
I miss him. No, I was very sad about losing that guy. I really was.
Yeah, I like he calls Leo the geek when he like Wyndham zaps him. He's like, "Don't zap the geek, man. He's got my brew," or something. But let's move on to episode.
That's all I have to say about that episode.
Episode 27. This episode is entirely divided. I'll also let this be a reveal what's going on behind me if it doesn't happen. It's gonna happen pretty quickly. You know what? It's. Let me move my notes around. All of my notes this episode are broken down into pairs of characters for the most part. First, we've got Doc and Ben. During an exam, Will Hayward confronts Ben about what he's doing. He's like inserting himself. There's some sort of secret. It's pretty obvious what it is. It becomes really obvious. really quickly because Donna finds a partially blank birth certificate in her attic, and this photo of Ben with a mustache. I guess this is supposed to be like 70s Ben.
That's how you know.
And I do like the Doc line, the goodness in you is like a time bomb. It is very like I like
that is a good line. Yeah,
I like
That's
the
how
way
I feel about myself.
I like the way they write Ben, where you can tell, especially as these episodes start going on, you can tell that he is being very genuine, but there's something about him that he really doesn't like. He doesn't really know how to be a good person in a way. Like he's like a bull in a china closet. That I think is interesting. Next up, we got Lucy and Andy. Dad Day approaches. She's gonna decide. He gives her some speech advice. Bobby and Shelley. Some lady is eating spooky pie and her hand starts shaking. Up at the diner, Bobby and Shelley have a good talk. We kind of talked about this, about how Bobby doesn't react angrily towards what happened with Gordon. Instead, he's like, I've been fucking around, Shelley. And I like that scene a lot, actually. A good scene.
Before you move on, I'll say that the shaky hand pie thing. I feel like the way that that's directed is the most like someone trying to do a David Lynch thing and largely succeeding in terms of directing. And I'll also mention this episode directed by Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal's father.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of people's parents involved with this. There's Zoe Deschanel's parents are involved with this show.
Papa Gyllenhaal.
Lena and the mayor. Dick and Norma are the other judges. I like how the mayor refers to Dick as being British or Bohemian or something. Lena won't. This is a typo, but I kept it. It's the only reason I kept this piece of information is I wrote Lena won't mayor him until she wins. She won't marry him. Catherine and Andrew. Andrew finds the metal box. See, that's what happens there. Zane and Audrey. Sad Zane has to go solve a moida down in South America, and so he has to leave forever.
Bye, Zane.
Bye, Zane.
Bye.
I like how it just seems like he's heading off to another show.
I was about to say he was heading off to the Titanic. Yeah, I don't know what other TV shows he was on.
Yeah, he hit the time pocket from the last Indiana Jones and showed up in Titanic.
Like just the introduction of the murder and stuff, like it feels like something a TV network would do where they were spinning someone off or something, and they would set it up in the show that they were coming from.
Yeah, like a little backdoor pilot, and
which you could almost buy because it's Billy Zane and he's a very charismatic actor, and he could fucking 100% like. I don't know if you had found out that was the point. Like, it'd be funny
Twin
if we
Peaks,
found out.
Miami.
do it, Lynch.
Ben sees something. So what's interesting is there's actually some stuff that almost feels like season 3 setup in these last episodes. Even though they almost, I don't know, like it feels less maybe that it was specifically setting that up, and maybe it was like these were threads, and then Mark Frost later, probably him more so than Lynch, kind of was like, okay, well, we had these little things, like let's pull those forward. And one of them is there's this moment where Ben just sees something behind him. We hear this like glow and like vibration and sound and stuff, and that feels very much so like it's setting up season 3 in my opinion.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, like whenever Audrey leaves to go catch Zane at the airport, there's like this humming sound. Yeah, Scott's looking at us like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because Scott hasn't seen season 3 yet. But Ben hears this like humming, glowing sound behind him, and he turns around, and it's never resolved in these episodes. It's
not, but that comes in the return, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
And
it's
that's
like,
never resolved then.
Well, it's you know, it's more, it's, you know. So, I mean, the return isn't really interested in resolving things.
I know, it's just a silly little thing to do with Ben and the return. The humming thing that doesn't go anywhere.
Pete, talking to Josie in the wood, drives Audrey to the airstrip. Audrey tells Billy Zane that I'm a virgin. Once again, girl, calm down. But I also, like, do you think that this would work? Do you think that this would work with me and Billy Zane? Like, if I went up to Billy Zane and I was like, "Hey, I'm a virgin. Do you think he would tenderly fuck me in his private plane?"
Yes, I believe he would.
Oh yeah, kind of sweet in a way, even with Pete watching. And at least, you know, Zane took his time. It's like way later. Which, you know, he could have stuck around for like a day, seemingly.
I like that Pete didn't go home at all.
Yeah.
During all of that.
Yeah.
Like, no, they were gonna go fishing afterwards, weren't they?
I have that line written down. Audrey, there are many cures for a broken heart, but nothing quite like a trout's leap in the moonlight.
He's just patiently waiting for his fishing.
Yeah.
Kids take your time.
He's just like, he's someone with like a very specific obsession, and he's like, maybe, like, I feel like she's gonna be sad afterwards. I feel like I'm gonna be able to go fishing with her. Like, he's that's the reason he stays, is because he's like, I bet I'll be able to figure out a way to turn this into me going fishing. And he was right.
Yeah, and then the way home, he's just like, you did it again.
He's a damn good chess player.
Oh, man, it's almost
moves
too easy.
40 moves ahead or whatever. Or 100 moves ahead or whatever.
Our big two pairs of characters I've got Wyndham and Briggs. Briggs is digging deep.
That's a good scene.
With the help of the Bookhouse Boys. Wyndham knows about the Black Lodge, Twin Peaks. They even watched tape about it. A Coop line I like, where he's like, Wyndham has engaged us with like subterfuge, red herring, a fish I don't particularly care for. During all this, the three queens, Shelley, Audrey, and Donna, meet with Coop in a scene that's shot very well, with like the camera kind of floating around them. And where are Shelley's parents? Like, that's something that I also was like, where the fuck are her parents? I know she's married. She's like, I always imagine her as being like a year older than the other two girls. That she's like she finished high school last year, and they're finishing it this year. But we never see them. Leo starts to turn on Wyndham.
Don't need any more characters.
Yeah.
For once.
But he only shocks himself. One of the better Wyndham lines, we are all love's fools, more or less, but you will learn as I have the value of hate. We find out that the petroglyph suggests a time invitation to the Black Lodge, and then we get to the scene that I think Bobby's excited about, where Wyndham kidnaps Briggs in a very inconspicuous manner.
Dressed as a horse or whatever, a deer, whatever he was,
like a zebra or something.
I wouldn't have fallen for that. I would have known something was up immediately.
Yeah. Well, Briggs is curious. He's like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
What? Huh?
Briggs plays hardball.
Briggs gotta stop going in the woods by himself.
Yeah. This is like the second time it's happened this season.
I mean, maybe this is what he was looking for. Maybe he was looking for some strange love out in the woods.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe
this didn't work out this time.
Briggs plays hardball while Wyndham plays target practice. I almost had that behind me, like Briggs.
I was trying to find a screenshot of that. I didn't feel like going back and checking it myself. But yeah, I do.
Yeah. Briggs gets a truth serum and reveals some astrological secrets, and he's got a great line where Wyndham asks him what he fears most, and he says the possibility that love is not enough, which is a very, very Briggs things to say. I did want to bring that. This is like I'm curious what people think, like, and I think I know the answer, like the very specific answer, but what makes Wyndham less scary than Bob/Leland? I mean, because there's clearly something to the idea of an evil Cooper, which is kind of, I think, like kind of how you could conceptualize Wyndham in a certain way, like someone who is like Cooper in certain ways, but is the bad version of that. And clearly there's something to that idea, considering what comes after this. But like, what makes Wyndham less scary besides the fact that he's played kind of like a clown?
Yeah, I mean,
I was actually, it's funny you say clown. I was about to say it's like Joker putting on the symbiote, the Venom suit, which you think would be scary, but I don't.
Yeah,
Joker's already pretty scary.
Yeah, because he doesn't like he doesn't have the same like dark reflection of like domestic like the
abuse.
Exactly,
yeah,
where it's
that's what I think it is.
Yeah, the bright exterior that hides the darkness. Like, it doesn't work when the bright exterior is this wacky.
Yeah. Well, and Cooper works because he is sort of... He is taking something that could seem not necessarily dark on the outside, but certainly not bright in the way he is on the outside, which is this sort of kind of straight-laced FBI agent. But then he adds these things, and to kind of like double back on that, I think doesn't work as well. Unless you're gonna commit to it and have him be a real son of a bitch. But yeah, I mean, I still like.
What more is he gonna? Yeah, what more is he gonna do? He's possessed by Bob.
Wyndham, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never view him as being possessed by Bob. Actually, I view him as being.
I think Robert is saying like how would he get worse?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, it's almost like the people say like, oh, The Shining, it's not scary because it's old and whatever, like ghosts, haunted, spooky stuff isn't as scary, but it's like the real terror is the domestic turbulence below the surface. Like it's like Wyndham is like the ghosts of The Shining. Like they're kind of spooky and like neat, but it's nothing compared to like Jack, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And then lastly for this episode, we've got Coop and Annie. Coop is thinking about Annie, and Harry notices before Coop's hand shakes like the spooky pie lady, which is something that also happens to Pete. Coop and Annie come clean with their feelings in a really good, sweet, but creepy scene in the diner where they're talking about how much
difference again. Sorry.
Between them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always viewed Coop as being pretty young, honestly, like because Kyle MacLachlan's 30, but I've always read Cooper as actually being maybe a couple years younger than that in a weird way. I know that maybe that seems weird, but
I don't know. I mean,
the show has many age gap relationships, but I think this one is not that.
Yeah, I don't think this one's that bad.
I don't know.
Because she's supposed to be Norma's sister also, and so she's clearly, and Norma's like been out of, Norma's supposed to be like 35, because that's how old we find out Nadine is, which is fucking crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I'm older than Nadine.
There's some things that just don't make sense with that. Yeah,
really pretty good.
I am not, so thank God for that.
Yeah, he's not,
but not quite. Nearly there. Yeah.
Well, Gordon's definitely a creep, though.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I don't really care.
Coop and Annie go dancing at the Roadhouse. Annie decides to enter the pageant, and the giant shows up, and he's like, "No!"
This is the clearest, most distinct warning anyone's ever gotten in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
There's like no ambiguity about this. There's no secret double meaning. There's no symbolism. It's just
crossing your arms.
And Leo and Briggs are going nuts as Wyndham frantically decodes the glyph. It's a map to the Black Lodge.
Hell yeah!
We get the really good ending of this episode with the mayor fucking around with the microphone and going like, this isn't right. Something's wrong here. And
it's like a Tim and Eric sketch.
Yeah, something spooky going down now. We get the intro to the Grove and Portal, which is also a great moment. Yeah.
My favorite shot from this is when Cooper and Annie are talking in the diner and the camera's backing up slowly.
Yeah,
and then
really
ominous drone starts coming in, and the scene just ends with a bunch of dishes falling to the floor, and the characters looking at the broken dishes.
Yeah, they do a really good job this episode of. I mean, it's kind of obvious in certain ways, but it's like giving you that foreshadowing of what's about to happen in the last two episodes. Because it should be noted that these last two episodes, while we will talk about them separately, they were aired together as like a ABC TV movie or something.
The last two?
Yeah. Yeah, they were aired the same night. Yeah, let's move on to episode 28. I've got this behind me. This one of Nadine's slideshow photos. Tim Hunter, the last person to ever direct anything Twin Peaks that isn't David Lynch. So congratulations, Mr. Tim Hunter.
I think he went on to direct for Mad Men and Sopranos.
Okay.
That name seems familiar.
Interesting. Not to me. Let's look this up.
I could be wrong, of course.
I'm sure he did.
Well, this is just...
You are correct.
Oh, yeah.
Which episodes of The Sopranos? This is a Sopranos discussion episode.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking it up. He did not do any Sopranos episodes.
Oh, okay. Just Mad Men.
But
he did Mad Men.
6 episodes of Mad Men. He did 1 episode of Breaking Bad. So you like that one, buddy?
Oh, nice.
4 episodes of Hannibal.
Looks like he did the finale for season 1 of Breaking Bad.
Okay. Well, good for him.
Hannibal's a great show. You like that show, Bobby, I think.
I would.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, you would.
But pre-pageant, Norma reflects on Miss Twin Peaks and Laura, and we get some pageant rehearsal stuff. That one guy is back. The Weasel guy is back, and he's making them all dance sexy. And then Lena starts working on Dick. Dick is the most. I wonder if, what him and Frasier would be like together.
They probably get on.
Same state.
I don't know. You think Frasier would be into that, or you think Frasier would be like above him? Kind of.
I think Frasier would probably be above him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Audrey, Ben gives her a cute compliment, has a bunch of holy books, but senses her emotions. And he tells her that don't worry, if Zane said he was going to come back, he'll come back. And then he did not come back. Marcy is in the chat.
No, he never came back, by the way.
Saying, yay, a cutie pie stream. Time to spoil a show I should have seen 10 years ago. Audrey finds out about the bank. And Ben pitches Audrey on the pageant again, which did she even enter in the first place? Can she, enter late? I don't really understand.
Audrey does what Audrey wants to do.
Yeah. I guess that's true. She's Audrey Horne, and she gets what she wants. Nadine...
Attitude Era beauty pageants.
Speaking of Attitude Era,
do whatever she wants. No rules.
We get some wrestling photos. Nadine has a great slideshow. Jacoby is consciously uncoupling her from Ed. And Nadine seems happy, or pretends to be, but she gets pretty upset when she finds out how happy Ed is and crushes Mike's hand. The Packards, they use a vice to open the metal box, but fail. Andrew just shoots it open. It's a key to a savings deposit box, which they keep in plain sight. And then we get one beat with Donna before Miss Twin Peaks, which we'll come back to, actually, the way I have this structured. And she's looking good. She tries to ask her parents about Ben, but they refuse to elaborate. Some A-story stuff before the pageant. Leo sets Briggs free. I think Leo, I think I've talked about this before. If the original show had continued, I do think Leo would have been redeemed more. Like, they're clearly already kind of starting that in certain ways. Like, Leo's irredeemable comparatively to certain characters, but I guess compared to Bob, he's not, like, he's on an entity of pure evil. And so
Bob does give no fucks.
Yeah. So I do feel like you can feel them starting with this storyline, and especially with some of the things he does here, them like planting seeds that they don't elaborate on, because spoiler, when Wyndham leaves Leo with a bunch of spiders, and we they never really elaborate what happens on him. You find out in one of the books Mark Frost wrote that he apparently someone, I know who it is, but I won't say it to spoil things for Scott. Someone goes out to him in the woods and just shoots him a bunch of times, apparently. According to one of those.
I will
books.
mention that the spiders they show, they're tarantulas in the trap, and those are technically venomous, but not to the point that it would actually be any kind of danger to a person. So he could have just let the tarantulas fall on him. It would have been fine.
He didn't know that. I will say, I look at
I think
those
in the
and they
canon
look
of the
nice.
show, it's supposed to be a deadly peril, but
Yeah. Wyndham deduces that he needs fear to open the lodge. Coop meditates and tells Diane about Annie.
I ain't touching no spiders. I would move a muscle.
Annie visits Coop and they make love. Briggsy makes it back to civilization and starts talking about Judy Garland, which also, I don't know if that's like a Fire Walk with Me / The Return thing, maybe, or that's just
Also, just Lynch's general obsession with the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Right.
Coop finds out that intuits that fear and love open the doors. He doesn't know why exactly. They also realize the stakes of the pageant, that whoever wins is going to be killed by Wyndham, but they ignore Andy. And Andy does discover, pretty much too late at this point, the bug, the wire, and the bonsai tree. And then we get to Miss Twin Peaks. The Coop doesn't stay a virgin. What the fuck? Show ruined. That's what Marcy said in the chat. The dance of the umbrellas. At this point, I was unsure if Audrey was even in the pageant. The choreo guy hits on Margaret. It's always fun to see a bunch of characters grouped like this. Lucy's talent is spinning and dancing, I guess. Bobby sees double with Wyndham as the log lady. Lena performs some contortionist jazz exotica, which is Norma finds very unimpressive, and she does not contort, so I kind of get it. Like, there's nothing contorting about it. And I guess Audrey is in it because she gives a speech, which Coop identifies with. Donna and her jiggly hair confront Ben, and she finds out the obvious truth that I guess Ben is her biological father. Something that I don't think is ever important ever again. Well, I mean, a big part of that is because Donna ceases to be played by Laura Flynn Boyle, and then quickly after ceases to be important in any way. Annie has a great speech that wins over Dick. Wyndham is salivating. Lucy decides that Andy will be the dad, and Dick doesn't give a fuck. Which is funny. Annie wins, which immediately terrifies Cooper and sinks my heart. You got a good line from Dick. She gave a beautiful speech. Inherent in her message were words even the most craven of us can ill afford to ignore. The power goes out and shit starts flashing and Log Wyndham appears. This scene looks fucking great. Nadine gets bonked in the head. Log Wyndham snatches Annie, and the lights come back on, and Andy finally tells Coop about the map. The fact that the petroglyph is a big ol' map to the Black Lodge. And yeah, it's a good app. I like this episode a lot.
It is a good app.
A lot of people, I think we all kind of agree, but sometimes people will talk about season 2 where they'll be like, it's good up until when Leland dies, and then it's shit until the last episode. But I really do think it, like, you can feel it getting almost exponentially better at the end here.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then let's move on to, whoa, turn my camera off. Let me do that. Let's move on to the finale. This is it. The we got Ray Wise back in the credits again. We made it. We're the halfway point, kind of. Really, if we're being honest. I have this episode broken down into, I've got Outside the Black Lodge, which is the A story until Coop enters, and then all of the very small amount of subplots, and then all the Black Lodge stuff. Outside the Black Lodge, we get the cute opening with Andy and Lucy. The log lady stole Pete's truck. The boys figure out Glastonbury Grove, the legendary burial place of King Arthur, which is what's kind of depicted behind me with these trees, and there's this little oil pond in the ground. And that's a good line from Pete, where he's like, King Arthur's buried in England. And they all just look at him. The real log lady arrives with oil from her husband, scorched engine oil, which Ronette recognizes. Log lady's husband said it was a gateway. Wyndham takes Annie to the Grove, which I don't know what big deal she has. It's a great shopping center. There's a farmer's market nearby. That's a little LA local humor for everyone. There's a great effect when they enter the curtains. I don't know exactly how they filmed that. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean,
if who was on like what layer at what time. My guess would be that it's probably there's the trees and that's the thing that's getting put over it, but it kind of is, I don't know. Or maybe they're just like motioning and then they're like later on filming the curtain, like pulling it with strings or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, there are some like very effective television visual effects going on here, like genuinely just interesting visual effects.
Coop and Harry find the car. Coop has to go on alone. Al's a hootin' oil sycamore trees, and Coop's heads inside. And we'll continue his journey in a minute, but first, we got a couple places we gotta check in. First, we gotta check in with Nadine, the 35-year-old Nadine. She's stitched up, and she seems to have reverted. And then Mike apologizes, which is funny, because why the fuck is Mike apologizing? What did he do?
I don't know.
It's about time, Mike.
In the Hayward home, Ben talks to Eileen, and Donna wants to leave. Doc shows up with Ben's wife. Remember her? Donna yells about Doc being her daddy. And then Doc punches Ben, and Ben is severely banged up. which I forget how that. Did they ever touch upon that again? I'm trying to remember. Because like certain things are very clearly touched upon in later stuff, and this one I feel like I don't. Because both of the characters are back in the return. Obviously, Doc less so. Because I think he was pretty sick by then. But he is also Mark Frost's dad, so I'm sure he was an easy get. The bank.
I don't think the bin head thing is ever brought up in the return.
The bank. The night before, Andrew swaps the key out and Pete catches him. Audrey shows up for a protest. And then my favorite scene in here that isn't one of the Black Lodge things is Del, a great character who does show up in the missing pieces, also just wanders around. Another David Lynch special showing us a bunch of long shit that we don't need to see, but we love it.
I just love seeing that old man walking.
Yeah.
Wobbling around the
That's how I knew Lynch was back. I was like, when you see,
yeah.
Andrew and Pete show up. Pete and Audrey have a little moment. She still lets him in though. Some guy in the background starts yelling about it's a boy, which is like a funny little detail. And we find out that it's a bomb. There's a bomb in there. Two-Face, his horrible machinations continue.
R.I.P. Pete, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
Forever.
Storyline concluded.
Bye-bye.
Somehow
Not wrapped in plastic.
Somehow Andrew's glasses fly out of the bank, even though I think they were like, aren't they underground?
Maybe the explosion was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the diner, Briggs's parents smooching, and Bobby and Shelley think it's cute. He proposes. Heidi shows back up for the first time since the pilot. No, isn't the dialogue exchange they have here the same one they have in the pilot?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the same, yeah.
About having to like jumpstart the old man. And then the Count of Twin Peaks in his luxurious cape, also known as Jacoby, shows up with Sarah Palmer. And she tells Briggs in a weird voice that I'm in the Black Lodge with Agent Cooper. I'm waiting for you. Which that definitely feels like it's sort of set up for stuff that like we kind of get more of in season 3. Then inside the Black Lodge, maybe my favorite scene in this whole episode, when he first enters. And is it Jimmy Scott? Is that the singer's name?
Yeah, Jimmy Scott, yeah.
Under the sycamore trees, the arms dance, the flashing on Cooper's face. Just a really magical scene. Very evocative. Really like sets the mood. Because it like happens like right at the middle, basically, if I'm remembering correctly, more or less. We get a little bit of outside Black Lodge stuff. Andy joins Harry, who's still bad at yelling. For some reason, I love Michael Keane, but he can't yell convincingly.
Yeah.
Like every time he yells, he's like, "Andy, over here!" Like,
it definitely echoed the whole forest for sure.
Yeah. The next morning, Coop's been inside for 10 hours, and then we get a fucking long ass. This is what, like 20 minutes inside the Black Lodge or something like that.
Yep.
Pretty extended.
Excuse me, inside both the White and the Black Lodge.
Okay, is that true?
I didn't realize.
Yeah, he goes back and forth between the White and the Black Lodge throughout that sequence.
Oh yeah, that's what that little corridor is.
Yeah, he's technically you can tell whether it's the Black or the White Lodge depending on whether that marble statue is there.
Interesting.
But yeah, so he's encountering like White Lodge and Black Lodge versions of the same characters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. Is we get a lot of evil doppelgangers beginning to appear. Evil Laura has her big scream.
She's straight up terrifying with that whole when she's doing that crazy stuff. That's the most terrifying. I think honestly, Bob would even be like, dude, chill a little bit. Fuck that.
Yeah, Maddie even shows up to be like, man, Laura's crazy. Stay away from her. We get to two of the biggest things that I feel like are season 3. Again, it's like it can't actually be set up, but it feels like it's paid off perfectly in season 3. Is the arm saying, "When you see me again, it won't be me," and then of course the crazy, "I'll see you again in 25 years." Like that's fucking wild. And it was like literally 25 years later. It's fucking crazy.
Bravo, Vince.
Yeah. I love I have like a sticker of it on my my laptop at the meanwhile moment with Laura. And we get confirmation that the room service guy is the giant when he gives Cooper some coffee. The arm gets mischievous and Coop tries to drink his coffee. I like how silent Cooper is during these sections. Like it really like reflects the kind of dream space of like what's going on, because when he starts to wander around, he finds the lodges to be this kind of recursive dream space. And because like you don't really, I don't ever really think that much about me talking in my dreams much. You know, you're oftentimes just kind of going around and observing things, and even when you need to communicate something, I don't think you ever really think about actually saying those things, which is interesting.
It also just makes so much sense because Cooper is, you know, this paragon of like virtue, and when he's in the lodge, he's like completely muted and shut down by it.
Yeah. Caroline and Annie have this weird thing where he's kind of like seeing them as like the same woman. It keeps like going back and forth. I mean, clearly that's kind of been like a big thing they've been building this season, is how much his relationship with Annie and the threat that he is putting her in front of, which is Wyndham, is similar to what happened with Caroline. Wyndham wants Coop's soul for Annie. Coop agrees, but Bob appears and takes Wyndham for himself. He's like, you can't ask for your soul. And that's a great moment when he does they do that fire effect and he takes his soul out. And I also noticed when I was watching that scene, you can see, I'm pretty sure you can see the Formica table from Fire Walk With Me in the background in that scene, or something that looks very similar to it. If you go and watch, it's specifically that moment when he's like taking his soul out, there's like a little table in the background, and it looks like it might have been that table or something very similar.
I'll have to look at that again.
Which is interesting. Evil Coop shows up and he and Bob laugh. Leland cameo. I kind of like it's like him and Evil Coop. These are like, I don't know exactly. I know that Jason, you just gave us some specific lore, but I don't like getting into specific lore when it comes to like the Black Lodge stuff. In my brain, I mean, I'm okay with it if you have it, but like in my brain, I've always kind of viewed it as like these are all like little extensions of Bob. They're like a little like creations he's made essentially, and he's like sent out in that way. But I don't know. Is there any like lore thing that talks about what these doppelgangers are specifically?
I mean, there's no like definitive, like David Lynch hasn't been like, this is exactly what this means. He's very much not someone who says that stuff, but there's definitely like the people who are appearing and stuff are specifically because of his influence, and so it's like he's not the person in charge, like he's not like in charge of the whole thing or whatever, but like the show that's going on for Dale at the moment is it's Bob's show.
The Bob show.
Coop tries to run. Yeah, sideshow Bob.
I was like main show Bob.
I have my own like interpretation of this scene. That's it's not like a lore thing. It's more of a like, you know, because Bob says he can't ask for your soul, but like clearly like Cooper does give up something.
Yes.
In this section, and Yeah, and I kind of feel like especially with Wyndham Earl and the fire coming out of his head and stuff, like that's just that whole sequence kind of like symbolically to me always implied like Dale like be in his attempts to right past wrongs and his desire to like save Annie crosses some moral boundary on his own that allows Bob in because it's like right after he Bob says he can't ask for your soul, and then the fire happens. It's only after that like the Dale doppelganger shows up.
Yeah.
And so it's like clearly there's something that's happened there that's allowed that to occur.
Yeah, I think I agree. Pretty much for the most part. Yeah, yeah. Agreed.
There you go.
And then we get
Couldn't have said it better myself.
couldn't have said it better myself.
What he said.
I mean, I think what you're kind of getting into,
Ditto.
this is what I wanted to bring up, is there's a sort of abstractness to the lore here, which is partially on a David Lynch level. That's just Lynch, you know. But I think that when you realize that Mark Frost is this major co-author and he clearly has more of a specific grasp on some of the lore aspects, whereas I think Lynch doesn't care as much. I think what's interesting is that abstractness becomes kind of built into the lore, where because this is how I kind of think that if there was supernatural stuff in real life, this is how it would operate, which is that it's operating on like a wavelength that we can't really comprehend. You know, it's the Flatlands thing where it's these two-dimensional objects and then like a fucking ball gets bounced near them and they think it's like a circle appearing a bunch and they're like, what the fuck is that? And it's the same thing where this evil, this supernatural stuff is existing on this kind of wavelength and plane, and what we're seeing is we're only seeing parts of it. We can't ever really see it, and there are ways that it's going to work that are going to loop around our logic because it just works a different way. And it works with David Lynch's own abstractness, but then it becomes like, I think, built into the lore in a way.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and there's
one of the
like
strengths.
there's definitely like certain things that like you can say, okay, this is done like intentionally. This is not like an abstract thing.
Yeah.
Mark Frost very into like Roman mythology and stuff like that, and so you have this this statue that appears in the White Lodge and not in the Black Lodge, and that feels like a very intentional choice. I don't know what it means. I don't know what the specific statue is or like what it symbolizes, but
It symbolizes that the Romans only ever did good things. Coop returns to the real world, as does an injured Annie. He awakens the next day in his hotel and excuses himself to brush his teeth. And we get the infamous ending of the original show where he bonks his head in the mirror and reveals himself to be Bob and starts mockingly asking, how's Annie? And I could see, like, they do a good job of the build in this scene of, like, the first time you're watching this, you'd be like, oh, maybe he's just zonked out for a minute, you know, until he smashes his head into the mirror. And it's like, oh, okay, something actually fucked is happening. And I did want to bring up, I looked... this is from, like I said, the lore stuff. I care less about explanations, but I do like looking into the Twin Peaks, like the books for like what happened to characters, if that makes sense. Like I like that stuff because it feels a little more like solid in the sense of like, well, that's definitely what happened. I wanted to bring up, this is from the Twin Peaks fandom wiki. But it's a summary of some stuff from those books. The very depressing what happens to Annie later, because she's never talked about in the show. She lapsed into a catatonic state, slowly regaining her health, but seemingly unable to see or hear those around her. Eventually, she was unable to carry out the civic duties befitting her new title of Miss Twin Peaks, so the title instead went to the first runner-up, Lena Milford. Exactly 1 year after she was found in the woods, she attempted suicide and was rushed to the hospital. The next morning at 8:38 a.m. with no prior prompting, she said, "I'm fine." And she eventually got put into a psychiatric hospital. Ben Horn apparently was a big donor to that effort. And every year on the anniversary of her kidnapping at exactly 8:38, she would only say, "I'm fine." And that's it. That's it. That's the fate of Annie Blackburn. Sorry, Annie.
Bye, Annie.
Yeah. Bye. We get to see her a little bit more in Fire Walk with Me and the missing pieces.
Yeah.
And then we get a different end credits with the coffee and that really cool rack focus to the reflection of Laura in the coffee.
Yeah, I love that, like sort of like mirror reflection of the oil pond stuff from the previous episode. It's just it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. Yeah, what do we think about these episodes? I have two scattered. I mean, besides just the fact that they're fucking great, especially these, like this whole stretch of these four and the one before that are really good, especially compared to the like 8 before that. And these do, I think, get kind of exponentially better, where each one is like, because like Miss Twin Peaks, and honestly the episode before that feel right at home with the quality of the season 1 and the first part of season 2. Like they feel completely in step with that. And yeah, what do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah, I think the second and third episodes we talked about today are very, very good. I think the final episode of this season is my second favorite episode of the original run.
Nice.
Yeah,
and like I just it's just very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to be said about the ascension in like quality when you step episode to episode to episode. It really makes it just so easy to like get gripped by what's going on. It's like, you know, the Sergio Leone Dowers movies, how each one's better and better, and then you stick the landing with that amazing final one.
Yeah.
And what an ending! I still haven't seen The Return, so like to me, that's.
Oh, I'm talking about just season 2. I mean,
but that's what I mean. Like, I haven't seen The Return, so like to me, this has been the ending of Twin Peaks. I've seen Fire Walk with Me, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I just like, I think it works. Like, as much as it's like, oh, it ended early, you also kind of like, I don't know if this is that's how it was going to be. Like, it kind of wraps up kind of nice.
Yeah,
spooky.
it's like, was Twin Peaks ever going to end in a way that wasn't ambiguous? Like, it's kind of foolish to think that it
not now.
might have. Well,
yeah. Yeah, well, I think what makes season 3 work is that they're doing it purposefully in a way that they aren't here.
I think that 25 years later we probably would not have gotten more Twin Peaks had like this final push been as good as it was. Because it's like, you know, the show fell off, but then like to end so strongly, it's like you had you know, you're like, well, more of this could be good.
Yeah. Especially if you get that old yelling man behind the camera. Two things I was thinking about is James just dips. Like after the storyline with Evelyn, he's just like out of there. And
I don't blame him, honestly. He's like, I dealt with this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he was like shooting a movie or something, because I know somewhere around here he was in A Few Good Men, that actor.
Really?
So I wonder. Something else I thought of is past season 1, specifically past the scene where Audrey and Donna are in the girls' bathroom. Unless we're doing Nadine stuff, do we ever get anything at the school again?
No.
No,
Like,
not really. No.
No.
Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah,
I'm kinda
Fire
fine
Walk
with
with
that.
Me. But in terms
yeah,
of
Fire Walk.
the show,
Yeah.
because that was something I was like, yeah, they don't really like. There's that line we didn't cover it but it was a couple episodes ago where Donna asks Audrey about school and she's like, school numbs my buns, and then it's just like I guess she's just skipping. But yeah,
I'll be right back.
all right.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on this last run?
Not really. It's just all really good stuff. Like when I remember Twin Peaks, these last few are what I remember Twin Peaks as, even though it wasn't all that.
That's why it was so hard rewatching the bad stuff, because I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to get all the.
I think my
last me and like this last run, I think what are we doing?
Yeah, my last couple of rewatches, I actually skipped those 4 episodes, but I think from now on I probably won't.
Yeah.
As painful as it is.
No, you got to watch it all. I feel like part of me felt bad for missing. It was like, well, we're doing the episode now. I have to go. But should I go back and watch them? No, I won't.
But next time around.
Next time I do it, watch.
You definitely have to at least see them once. Like you have to see all the episodes once. But I could see on a casual rewatch, honestly, skipping from the episode where Leland dies to the episode where Gordon shows back up. Even if there is stuff in those 8 episodes that I like, I don't think there's as much stuff. But once Gordon shows back, I mean that the scene we talked about this last Twin Peaks Club, but that first scene of him at the diner is like one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. That's kind of you'll make you want to learn a little French. But yeah, are we all talked out for these episodes? And
we did it.
Thanks. So we made it, guys. So wait, so Scott, so you're never gonna watch The Returns?
No, we're gonna watch it.
I am. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh.
He's gonna be watching it. It's gonna be his first time watch as we do this.
First time for this one.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so you purposely were avoiding it until now?
I just never got around to it. I didn't have Showtime or access to it when it was on. And then I got the that box set, the Z to A, and I just was like, it's one of those things. It's like, I guess I'll just sit down and watch Twin Peaks. Like, it was just. Yeah. I remember during the pandemic, during lockdown, I was like, I should watch this now, but I was like, I'm just not in the mindset. Yeah. So like, this is perfect. Yeah.
Well, and I think also for the last year-ish, you've also known about this, and so I think once this started, you were definitely unlike fucking Daniel, who went ahead and just watched all of it, and he because he was in the same boat, and he just went ahead. He's the one person who's been on Twin Peaks Club. He was on the first volume, and he couldn't make it because he's a fucker. But he just skipped ahead. He said, "Nah, fuck this. I'm not waiting."
He hates these last 4 episodes that we just watched. He's like, I'm not going to talk about that bullshit.
Yeah.
One thing I'll mention, the one shot that we didn't bring up was in the Miss Twin Peaks episode at the end of it, Bob's arm.
Yeah, that's a great
coming out with the spotlight. Like I think that's one of the best shots in the show, and also it's really hard to do like extremely good physical performance stuff when it's such a small portion of your body is being shown. But there's some great acting in that arm.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
I was thinking a little bit. I don't know. This is kind of a random thing, but I was thinking about have the Muppets ever done anything Twin Peaks related? Have there ever been like a Twin Peaks Muppets thing?
The closest thing was on Sesame Street. They did, Twin Beaks.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking more about like if you did a Muppets version of Twin Peaks. I think here are my two thoughts that I think are pretty. We might all agree on. One, I think Kyle MacLachlan is still Cooper and he's the human character.
Absolutely.
And then 2, Animal is Bob. There's part of me that thinks,
Oh,
yeah,
Miss Piggy's Laura Palmer, right? Because you
I
have
think
to
she
have
might be
the
Audrey.
glamorous photo of Miss Piggy, like in the portrait.
yeah,
The end credits.
yeah.
that would be
feel
pretty
it's more
funny.
Audrey though. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
My two, because when I think of Miss Piggy in these contexts, I usually think about Kermit at the same time.
Sure.
And there's a part of me that what if Kermit is Truman and Piggy is Josie? Think about that idea.
Or Kermit is Leland and Piggy.
That was my first thought. Kermit should be Leland. Yeah, that was my.
That's a good call.
And Piggy is Laura. Okay, that works. That works.
That could work then. Yeah, actually, yeah.
I also did think about maybe Kermit being Andy and Piggy Lucy, just because they're in it a lot. But I think Lucy is kind of manipulative in the way that Piggy is.
Well, I mean, the whole like dad thing. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You know, like no other situation that would happen. We're like 9 months, we're just gonna have a competition.
I just can't see any other Muppet on the portrait that's being zoomed in on, except possibly Fozzie Bear.
I kind of agree now that I'm thinking about it that Kermit is Leland. I think that maybe another idea I had is I think Lucy's actually is Camilla, and maybe Andy is the chicken, and Andy is Gonzo.
Okay.
And I don't know who that makes Dick, but yeah. I like thinking about this sometimes. I was thinking about this Lord of the Rings.
Stradler and Waldorf. Where do they?
That's the mayor and the brother. Clearly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I looked up Muppets Twin Peaks to see if they've never done Twin Peaks stuff, but there is a painting someone's done of Gonzo as the arm.
Okay. Yeah, that could make sense too. Yeah.
And Rizzo as the giant.
No, I think Rizzo has been as Jerry Horn.
They should just bring over Big Bird for the giant.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Who would the chef guy be? The chef Muppet. Whatever that guy was.
Pete?
Would he be a Pete? What are the? I don't remember.
Maybe.
I haven't seen any
The chef
Muppet
would
stuff
have
in a
to
while.
be in one of the lodges. Speaking all weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You would have to
Maybe
be,
the chef is the giant.
Yeah. Just the spotlight on the giant.
The chef could be who's like the
Yep. What about the yip?
when he goes to the red room, it should be the Swedish chef. The boing, doing all the music.
Yeah, he's just talking normally like the Swedish chef, but it's still
He's just talking
subtitled.
like exactly.
Oh, you know what? One thing that we also haven't really mentioned is the Simpsons Twin Peaks when they did it in Who Shot Mr. Burns is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in the Who Shot Mr.
Well, I
Burns
haven't saw
episode. There was a
Twin
Twin
Peaks.
Peaks.
Yeah, it's when Chief
I
Wiggum
probably didn't
has
get
the
it when I
dream,
saw it when it aired.
and Lisa goes, look at Burns' suit, and he like doesn't understand it at all. and
Oh,
she gets
yeah.
frustrated.
I remember that. That was before I saw Twin Peaks, so I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Definitely the first time I saw that, I did not
This cartoon
know what we
crazy.
were watching.
Yeah.
Burns' suit. The suit burns better.
Yeah.
And then when he wakes up, he's like, "Oh, did you have that dream about the backwards talking girl too?" Like,
Yeah.
I'll drive.
I think it's time to move on to Connor's Wicked Games,
Now here we go with this.
sponsored by Chris Isaac. Every week, like
Hope you win.
Jigsaw, I like to play a little game.
Hope you've been working on your spelling, Jason. I mean, your grammar overall. Me neither.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that today. Today we're playing Twin Peaks Title Match Round 2. This is round 2 of a game we played earlier. I think Alex and Brian were on. when we did this the first time.
Oh
yeah. It was the one where you gave 3 different things that could be Twin Peaks or something. Yeah.
Something like that.
Not too well.
Restaurant, something or other. Yeah,
No,
or
this
whatever.
is different.
No, it was the
Okay.
titles of the episodes.
Yeah. So
Right.
I know the original Twin Peaks as the pilot, episodes 1 through 29. Now this is already confusing because technically the second episode of season 1 is called episode 1, despite being season 1, episode 2. However, the episodes were all given unofficial titles in Germany that have since become semi-official, and y'all are trying to guess those.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna give you the official boring title of the ep, along with the description. This is pulled from a Laserdisc issue of the series, which I found on a website called LynchNet. Everyone will get a chance to guess the episode's more elaborate title. I'll then give 3 options, and everyone will get another chance to guess. You get 3 points for guessing right the first time and sticking with your answer, and 1 point for guessing it on the multiple choice. I will say there's 1 bonus point potentially available, but I'm not going to tell you how. You're gonna have to figure it out. It'll be. I'll just tell you once it happens. And also, I'm only reading the description once, maybe twice, because they're long. They're kind of long.
God.
So if you
Kiss my winning streak goodbye. I won last time, and that's it.
And there's a couple of these. I'm trying to think of who I want to start with based on. If let's see, Jason, Brian, Alex, Scott, Bobby, Jason, Brian, Alex. We're gonna start with Alex. I was kind of working backwards with who I think would maybe be the best at this. So we're gonna start episode 29, the last one, aka season 2, episode 22. The description: Cooper and Truman rush to head off Windermere at the Black Lodge, where Cooper must take a plunge into darkness to save the life of Miss Twin Peaks. Donna Hayward demands to know the truth. Nadine Hurley enrolls in the School of Hard Knocks. Andrew Packard and Pete Martell go on a mission to the bank. I.G. Horn stages an act of civil disobedience, and Ben Horn apologizes for trying to be good. Alex, do you have a guess as to what, before I give the options, a guess to what the name of this episode is?
Are you asking for the actual name of the episode or the German, like, whatever they named it?
That, yeah.
Oh,
Not in German, but...
No, yeah.
Because the actual name of the episode is just episode 29.
Okay, yeah. It's just so I'm not completely like taking a stab in the dark. Is there like, it's not an example, but like something, like some kind of template? I can not nothing too obvious, but something that maybe I can work off of to guess.
Not really. They all have. There's no real template for the way they name the episode. It's not like Friends or something, or they all are Community, where they have like a specific kind of like.
I would love it if the Twin Peaks names were like Friends.
Yeah.
The one where Bob.
If you can just pass if you don't have a good guess.
Yeah, I don't have a good guess at all.
Brian.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Jason.
I don't know if I should answer this because when I was writing my notes for this, I wrote down the episode titles that were listed on this website.
I mean, as long as you're not, are you looking at those notes right now?
No, but I know what the.
I mean,
I know what I wrote down.
You just did some research ahead of time.
You just did some research ahead of time.
All right, Beyond Life and Death.
Bobby.
You want to guess Beyond Life and Death, Robert?
Beyond Life and Death.
Scott.
The one where life and death are beyond. Shadow beyond life and death. Sure, right.
The 3 options, Alex, are A, On the Wings of Love, B, Miss Twin Peaks, or C, Beyond Life and Death.
Well, A is awfully tempting, but I think I'm going to go with C.
Brian?
I'll do the same.
Jason, Bobby, Scott, are you guys sticking with y'all's answers?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yes, in fact, so that's 3 points for Jason and the people who came after him. And that's kind of, when I was doing that counting earlier, I was like looking at some of the later questions and I was like, okay, which one is like, I want to count backwards. That is Beyond Life and Death. I will say that's where the one bonus point was, because technically that description was for both Miss Twin Peaks and Beyond Life and Death. So actually, if anyone had guessed Miss Twin Peaks, I would have given them full points.
I was about to say Miss Twin Peaks.
I would have given you still full points, because technically that description was also for that same episode, because again, on the Laserdisc, it was formatted as like the single ABC like television film thing.
Oh, okay.
And not as like two separates. Brian, episode 23, aka season 2, episode 16. Cooper pleads with Josie Packard for the truth as Truman looks on. Ben Horne has a change of heart about the future of Twin Peaks. Ed Hurley proposes marriage to Norma Jennings. James Hurley and Donna Hayward say goodbye. Audrey Horne meets her fated one, a handsome, wealthy admirer from the past. And Wyndham Earle presents a tantalizing puzzle to 3 women. Any guesses?
No.
Jason?
Wyndham's Wacky Races.
Bobby?
Violet.
Scott?
The one where they go to the diner.
Alex?
Twin Peaks.
Brian, here are your 3 options: The Condemned Woman, The Black Widow, and The Lost Girl.
I guess I'll go C.
Jason?
The Condemned Woman.
Bobby?
I know that's an episode title, but I don't
Well,
know if
I'll
that's
go-
episode.
I'll go ahead and
Are
say-
these all episodes?
I'll go ahead and say that the things that I used are a mix of other episode titles, both from the batch that I'm focusing on. Because right now I'm focusing on the 13 episodes since we last did this, if that makes sense. So this is all past Leland's death. And certain, I'm also pulling a few episode titles from earlier, from like even earlier.
Yeah, because I remember writing that one down in my notes at some point, but I don't remember if others of those choices were also in my notes.
I mean, I'll say this: out of the 2 options that aren't the correct one is an episode title and one is something I made up.
Yeah.
Bobby, what were you going to guess?
What was Jason's answer?
I might be wrong on this one, because there are 2 there that I recognize.
The Condemned Woman.
Wait, what's one of the other ones?
You should guess the Black Widow. Then one of us is going to be right.
The Lost Girl, the Black Widow, and the Condemned Woman.
Yeah.
The Black Widow.
Scott?
I'm gonna go with the Condemned Woman.
Alex?
Just because I don't think anyone said it, I'll go with The Lost Girl.
And we started with Brian. So it is in fact the Condemned Woman. We might have to. I think midway through we're gonna switch the
Jason?
order around so people can benefit off of Jason a little more. Jason, you're starting this one.
All right, guys. Woohoo!
2 points for Jason?
Hell yeah!
No one got 3 points on that one, but
Okay.
Jason, you're starting this one. Episode 17, aka season 2, episode 10. Cooper and Truman exchange goodbyes. A wake is held for Leland Palmer. Dougie Milford, publisher of the Twin Peaks Gazette, twists the ear of his brother, Mayor Milford. Hank takes Ernie off on an impromptu hunting trip to Canada. Dr. Jacoby and Ed Hurley persuade the vice principal to allow Nadine to finish high school. Bobby borrows some duds from Leo. Catherine pays a visit to the sheriff's station. Tremaine embraces fatherhood. Interesting how they don't call him Dick. An FBI agent comes to town with unpleasant business for Cooper, and Audrey divulges her ice cream preference to a newfound friend. I don't remember that, but any guesses on what this episode is called, Jason?
Milford and Milford.
Bobby?
The ice cream episode.
Scott?
Here comes the bullshit.
Alex?
Fair.
Rocky Road.
And Brian?
I'm just saying no. I don't have anything creative. You guys all just mastered it.
Jason, your three options are Dispute Between Brothers, Rest in Pain, and Aftershocks.
Dispute Between Brothers.
Bobby?
I definitely remember that. Dispute Between Brothers. I do remember that being a title.
Scott?
Dispute Between Brothers seems to be the contestants.
Alex?
Yep. Hard not to say it's Dispute Between Brothers.
And Brian?
Riding all the coattails.
Yep. It is indeed Dispute Between Brothers. Bobby, episode 22, aka season 2, episode 15. Cooper discovers who shot him at the Great Northern and finds unexpected help matching wits with Wyndham Earle in a deadly game of chess. Donna Hayward makes a desperate plea to save James Hurley's life. Nadine Hurley walks in on Ed and Norma Jennings. Benjamin Horne changes the course of history at Potomacs. And Catherine Martell dangles a helpless Josie Packard as booty before the eyes of an extremely dangerous man, the evil-hearted Aaron Eckert. Bobby, any guesses as to what this episode is called? No? Scott?
No, I have no idea.
Alex?
The Dangling Woman.
Brian?
I'm just gonna stare around for a little while, like the answer's gonna come to me.
Jason?
Twin Peaks Reloaded.
Bobby, your three options are A, Wounds and Scars, B, Slaves and Masters, and C, Boys and Women.
I think it was Slaves and Masters.
Scott?
I'll say Wounds and Scars.
Alex?
Wounds and Scars.
Brian?
Oh, fuck.
I'm gonna say Slaves and Masters.
Jason?
Slaves and Masters.
It was in fact Slaves and Masters. This is the Diane Keaton episode.
Yep.
And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay, so Scott, you will start on this one. Episode 27, aka season 2, episode 20. Cooper and Truman continue to investigate the mystery of Owl Cave. Wyndham Earle snares another captive and learns some valuable information. Romance blooms between Cooper and Annie Blackburn. Donna Hayward finds an old scrapbook full of surprises, and Audrey Horne makes a confession. Any guess, Scott?
Nope.
Alex?
Pawn Sacrifice.
Brian?
No.
Jason?
The Path to the Black Lodge.
Bobby?
I might have benefited again from having taken notes on this episode.
Tomb Raider Remastered HD Collection. Original trilogy.
Scott, your three options are Secrets in the Ghostwood, Wyndham's Trap Sprung, or The Path to the Black Lodge.
It's a ponder.
I'm gonna go with The Path to the Black Lodge.
Alex?
Path to the Black Lodge.
Brian?
Sounds like a fun one.
Jason, are you sticking with your answer?
Yeah, I'll stay with that one, yeah.
Bobby?
Tomb Raider HD Path to the Black.
I mean, you could have benefited from that one, Bobby. You went after him, so. Yes, it is Path to the Black Lodge. All right.
I mean, I don't remember that actually being a name of an episode. But
we're gonna switch the order around. We're gonna reverse it. So we're gonna start with Alex again, but we're gonna go reverse for these to hopefully mess with that. Episode 20, aka season 2, episode 13. Cooper and Truman arrange a trap for Jean Renault. Deputy Andy and Dick Tremaine pry into little Nicky's past. A visit from an old lover interrupts Ben Horn, who's busy changing history at the Battle of Gettysburg. James Hurley succumbs to Evelyn Marsh's plea for help. Nadine Hurley uses her superhuman strength to rescue Ed, and Cooper's nemesis makes a horrifying opening move.
Homer's Barbershop Quartet.
Scott?
Little Nicky.
Bobby?
Wyndham's Wacky Races.
Jason?
Renault, Time to Die.
Brian? That's very good.
You guys got all the good ones. I'll skip it. Nothing.
Alex, your three options are A, Pawn Sacrifice, B, Checkmate, and C, The Queen's Gambit.
Oh my God, is Pawn Sacrifice really an episode name? I'm just gonna guess that because I guessed it earlier.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Scott?
I guess I'll go Pawn Sacrifice too. Yeah, why not?
Bobby?
Where are the choices?
Pawn Sacrifice, Checkmate, and The Queen's Gambit.
Wait, what happens in this episode?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Checkmate.
Jason?
I actually don't remember, so I'll just round out the guesses here. Queen's Sacrifice or Queen's
Gambit?
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit.
the Queen.
What a move!
Brian?
That was the Queen's Gambit.
The
I think
Immortal
that was
Game.
The Netflix, wasn't that?
It
Well,
was,
Queen's
but
Gambit
it's,
was a show.
but it's named
That was
after like an opening.
The Rush.
Like,
yeah.
set
of-
I think it's that's right. Yeah. So I'm gonna say
But-
Checkmate.
There was a famous game where someone sacrificed their queen to get checkmate. That's replicated by the game that they play in Blade Runner between Tyrell and J.S. Sebastian.
Oh yeah.
Well, it is
I like
Checkmate. Even though in that description, what's funny is in that description, it's like Wyndham makes his terrifying opening move, but then the episode
That's
is
where you
called
kind of
Checkmate.
confused me. Yeah.
I remember there being an episode named Checkmate. I don't remember there being an episode called Pawn Sacrifice.
Yeah.
But maybe there is.
That was sort of my logic. When you said that, I was like, yeah, I think that might be it. Maybe, yeah.
So Scott, we're gonna start with you on this one, because we're slingshotting back around. Episode 25, aka season 2, episode 18. Agent Cooper and the sheriff's department go midnight spelunking. Truman awakens in the murderous embrace of a naked woman. Audrey Horne and Donna Hayward witness a strange meeting. Wyndham Earle insinuates himself in the lives of his potential victims, and love is in the air.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Bobby?
Pawn Sacrifice.
Jason?
Clay World off the table.
Brian?
Just call it the love episode.
The love episode.
Alex?
Just a love episode.
Deep Space Homer.
Your options, Scott, are On the Wings of Love, The Black Widow, and Wounds and Scars.
The Black Widow.
Bobby?
What are the options?
On the Wings of Love, The Black Widow, and Wounds and Scars.
I guess the Black Widow.
Jason?
Wounds and Scars.
Brian?
I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna keep my love theme, and I have the song in my head now. So let's do that. The love. On the Wings of Love.
Alex?
Yeah, Black Widow, sure.
Brian, congrats! You were the only one who got it, and actually, because you mentioned love and it was in the title, I'm going to give you a half extra point because that's actually
I can't wait for that half point.
kind of
That's gonna
impressive.
push.
I mean, it genuinely might. It might break a tie. Bobby, episode 18, aka episode season 2, episode 11. This is the longest of these descriptions. Truman defends Cooper's activities at One-Eyed Jack's, which are under investigation by the FBI and DEA. Mrs. Briggs worries about Garland's disappearance. Nadine continues to fall for Mike Nelson. James Hurley receives free room and board for helping a beautiful blonde. Hank interrupts Ben Horn's reminiscences about the past with grim reality. Andy kicks up his heels with DEA Agent Bryson at the wedding reception of Dougie Milford and his young bride. Catherine leaves Josie no choice but to play by her rules, and Wyndham Earl makes a move. Bobby, any guesses?
I'm tired of the chess shit. Twin Peaks: The Return, episode 8.
Jason.
Nadine's statutory challenges.
Brian.
You got good ones. I don't know.
Alex.
Homer the Smithers.
Homer the Smithers.
That's a real episode. That's a
That
great
is a
one.
real episode.
What happens to that one?
Smithers goes on vacation and Burns takes over, or Homer takes over.
Oh,
for
that
him.
makes sense.
And Scott.
That's a good title for that.
I actually do think it's Homer the Smithers, so I'm gonna go with that one too.
Smith.
Bobby, is it The Black Widow, Wounds and Scars, or Masked Ball?
What was the first one?
The Black Widow,
What was the one after that?
Wounds and Scars, and Masked Ball was the one after that, just in case.
Masked Ball.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's got to be Wounds and Scars eventually, right?
Jason.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess Wounds and Scars again because I know that is an episode title.
Yeah,
Brian?
definitely.
I guess it enough times I might get it right.
I'm gonna try to go different again to the masked ball.
Alex
Yeah, I also like the Masked Ball.
and Scott.
I'm gonna go with Wounds and Scars.
It is Masked Ball, in fact.
Oh shit!
I fucking knew that was too. I knew that was too weird of a name. It had to be it. I knew that was too. Now I'm gonna say Wounds and Scars.
No, to be fair, it was the owl that told me. I have a cheat guide over here. My owl
Yeah.
lets me know.
I knew, man. I almost just Masked Ball was too weird. I had to know that was it. Fuck it.
This is why I counted earlier, because I wanted to set this up just so everyone could get this benefit of Jason going first, as I asked him what the title for episode 26, aka season 2, episode 19 is. Cooper and Truman try to unlock the secret of the hieroglyph found in Owl Cave. The local Miss Twin Peaks contest draws some hot competition. Annie Blackburn opens her heart. The Great Northern Hotel holds a wine tasting event, and Wyndham Earl makes another move in his deadly game of chess.
Man, this guy can't stop making moves.
This one was like a weirdly worded variations on relations.
Brian?
That was a very specific thing. I'm going to caveat there and just hope that we got the right one. Let's go on that title.
Alex?
I'm riding this one.
Variations on Relations, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Scott?
Three of those.
Yeah, let's do it. Variation.
Right on, yeah.
Bobby?
Wasabi sauce for sandwiches and dipping.
Robert refuses to be corrupted by forbidden knowledge.
Jason, your three options, in case you want to change your answer, are A, excavations and revelations, B, variations on relations, or C, gradations of trepidation.
I'll keep my answer.
Brian?
Yeah, keep the same.
Alex?
Yes.
Scott?
Keep it.
And Bobby?
Wait, what is everybody else going with?
Variations on relations.
I think I'm going to say variations on relations.
It is that. Even though I think I
Okay.
did a good job with those made up ones. Those other ones were made
Yeah,
up.
Yeah.
you did.
And lastly, Brian, we'll start with you. Episode 21, aka Season 2, Episode 14. Cooper confides to Truman the frightening, tragic history of his former FBI partner, Wyndham Earle. Audrey Horne strikes a business deal with Bobby Briggs. Leo Johnson comes back to vicious life. James Hurley becomes more confused about his feelings for Evelyn Marsh. And Catherine Martell unveils an astonishing secret to a dumbfounded Pete.
I don't know.
Alex?
Sweet Seymour Skinner's badass song.
Scott?
Yep. Wounds and scars. Let's do it.
Fuck yeah. Smart. You're smart.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Jason?
I'm gonna go wounds and scars.
Yeah, you know what? Just in case, I'm gonna go wounds and scars as well. Let's do this.
Your options, Brian, are A, double play, B, wounds and scars, and C, Sweet Skinner's badass song. Seymour Skinner's badass song.
Shit. Now that was my
Brian?
Yeah. What was the first one? Double? What
Double play.
Double. Yeah, I'll do that one.
Alex.
Skinner.
Scott.
Wounds and scars.
Jason.
Yeah, I'm saying wounds and scars.
And Bobby, you're sticking with wounds and scars also?
Team wounds and stars. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Scott, Bobby, and Jason. You're wrong again. Wounds and Scars was
Fell for that.
episode title. In fact, I actually had different. Originally, the options were double play, double Jeopardy, and double time. And then, as you guys were saying it, I changed the answers actually to trick you guys even more.
You got us.
This was a pretty close game. Unfortunately, Alex and Bobby, you guys just by 1 point missed meddling this episode because it was all you guys. Yeah, you guys had both 8 points. Scott had 9 points, getting a bronze. Brian has 10.5, earning him a silver, and Jason, because of his forbidden knowledge, which is not like I kind of went in guessing that. That's why I was like, I bet. Because I remember last time you knew the episode title, so I was like, okay, I need to account for like how I'm ordering this. And for the most part, I actually did a pretty decent job, I think, of that because it was pretty close by the end.
Yeah.
There goes my streak.
Yeah, there goes your streak. But
What's
yeah.
the overall medal? Where are we at with everybody's history?
Well, it's
I don't know if you have that together.
It's complicated
Number one.
because there's different tiers. Because like you, Brian and Scott and Edwin have been on the show more than 20 times. So like
Jesus.
y'all's
I need
average,
to do more things.
y'all's
You're
average,
all stars.
I think is like very different as opposed to like, you know, Alex.
Sure.
This is your 11th game. Jason, this is only your 4th. Bobby, this is your 8th. So I think.
And I've won twice.
Bobby, you have two golds, 2 silvers, and a bronze. Jason, your 4 appearances, you're doing pretty good. You've got 2 golds, a silver, and a bronze. Yeah, this looks good. Alex, you have for your 11 appearances now 3 golds, 4 silvers, and 2 bronzes. Scott, you've got for 23 appearances 9 golds, 11 silvers, and 1 bronze. And Brian, you have 27 appearances. I had that in the bag
this time.
12 golds, 8 silvers, 6 bronzes. But some of you guys have minuses also, so it's even more complicated than that. Minuses to your appearance average, because anytime there's only 3 people, I give you a minus to that to reward people. But this is not that interesting, I think. So we're gonna move on to first.
But apologies for asking that.
Yeah, no worries. really quickly, I want to do, just because Jason's here, we're going to do a little Dune date. I'm almost done. I wanted to finish this. I thought we were going to do this next week, so I thought I was going to, but I'm like nearly finished with Children of Dune.
Nice. Yeah.
This copy's been really beat up. It got like covered in pizza oil the other week, and it got really wet the other day, and all this other shit. But it's pretty good so far. And I think one of my favorite things about it, and maybe you'll agree, is like the difference in character between Leto 2 and his father, Paul, and the way they kind of draw that out, where they both see this golden path. They both understand what's shitty about it, but where Paul is ate up about it and like eventually is like, nah, fuck this, like this sucks too bad. Leto 2 is like, you know what? I will do all this fucked up stuff, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good stuff.
When you get to the there's a conversation that Leto has with, I forget the character's name, is the guy that was being groomed to be the next emperor.
Faradine.
Yeah, Faradine. Yeah. When you get to the conversation that Leto has at the end with Faradine, let me know, because it's one of my favorite parts of the book, just in how it like recontextualizes some stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, let me know too.
I will.
Are you planning on reading the fourth book?
I am. You should read it because you've never read it. You should read it with me.
The fourth book?
Yeah.
Oh no, I have written the fourth book. Read the fourth book. I haven't read. I think it's the last book in the series that Frank Herbert wrote that I didn't read.
There's two more after the fourth one.
Yeah. So I've read up until the fifth then.
Okay. Because those last two, originally he was going to write a trilogy. Because the first four he wrote all very disconnected. Like he wrote the first one, then later he decided to write the second one, then later he decided to write the third one. But then 5 and 6 and 7 he was writing as a trilogy, but then he died after writing 6.
Yeah.
So it kind of just
I hope you like the next book, because like fully one half of the book is like Leto having conversations with his, like, essentially his butler.
That's like my favorite shit, is people having combos in these books.
It's just, he'll say the most insane shit, and then his butler's like, very good, my lord, of course.
That's my favorite stuff. That was honestly, in a weird way, my favorite stuff in any of these has been some of the stuff in Messiah, where they're talking and Paul is like, Stilgar, I need you to look up the history of Hitler and Genghis Khan. And Stilgar is like, these pussies have nothing on the amount of people you've killed. And Paul's like, what the fuck?
Because Paul is angry that people don't hate him more.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's like, and there's this like comedy routine that plays out with him and Stilgar, where Stilgar's like, Hitler must have had incredible laser guns to be able to kill so many people.
I also
he's like,
love...
no, he kills people the same way I kill people, and so and Stilgar's like, he sent off his legions.
I also love the B Jazz character, the little dwarf. In Messiah, I love when they introduce and he's like, your name is Usul. Well, that's the base of the pillar, and how could that be? Because I am the basest creature of all. And then the guy who owns him just kind of like rolls his eyes and looks at Paul, and he's like, he's always like this. I apologize for him. But yeah, really quickly, let's move to Scott. You got your I'm gonna pull all
right, it's time for Scott's Comic Corner, brought to you by Eric Clapton and One-Eyed Jacks. Not a lot to talk about today, just because we did it last week and there has been new comics out, but I thought I'd give a shout out. Tomorrow comes the end of a miniseries I've been reading and enjoying. It's The Penguin, written by Tom King. It was a 12-part series DC release over the past year. I really enjoyed it. A little drawn out, but that's sometimes happens with these books.
It's modern comics.
Really interesting way they write it. The narrator keeps changing, like from scene to scene. It's just like with the new characters, we get their inner monologues. Also a lot of dialogue, but it's people have asked like, does it have anything to do with the series coming out? No, because that one seems to be about like the rise of Penguin, and this one is somewhat similar, but like he left and now he's coming back. Essentially, is the story of his return. And I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, part 12 comes out tomorrow, so check that out. And I'm sure the trade paperback will be coming out in a few months. So if you missed the series, keep an eye out for that because it's worth reading.
Nice. Well, anything else anyone's got? I think we should get a motherfucking end to genocide in Palestine, Congo, Sudan, everywhere else. I want to shout out 2 movies. I saw Blink Twice, which I know Brian, you saw and also enjoyed. It's a very like, I don't think this is spoiling it too much to say it's a very post Get Out movie where Get Out is kind of about black people and their relationship with white liberals. This is about women and their relationship with rich men. And
I think that's where I said made my comparison with Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah. And then for movie night last night, we watched Drive Angry, the Nicolas Cage movie, which is basically just dudes will see this and say, hell yeah, the movie. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah, we visited it. It was great because I hadn't seen it since I saw it in theaters. It was shot in 3D, and it's definitely there's times when like stuff blows up and it just all like comes to the screen. Yeah. So I wasn't sure how it was going to play, but I had a great time. I really liked it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's a great scene where this is kind of a spoiler, but if it gets you to watch the movie, where Nicolas Cage has a gunfight with a bunch of people while he's having sex with a woman, and so
that's definitely the best sequence for sure.
Yeah. But anybody
so much
else,
blocking.
Anybody else got anything they want to shout out? I'm going to do the outro, and then I have a special last segment, but I know at least Scott wanted to leave before that. But anything else?
Yeah, I should head out. But it was a good discussion. Thank you for having me on for these Twin Peaks episodes.
For sure, definitely.
I got shout out Twin Peaks.
Shout out to Twin Peaks.
First 2 seasons. I want to give a shout out to Twin Peaks, Twin Peaks the movie, and Twin Peaks season 3.
Next Twin Peaks Club will be end of this month, early next month. We'll be talking about Firewalk with Me and the Missing Pieces. Next episode will be in 2 weeks as our Trancers special. We're talking about all 6.5 Trancers films. I want to thank Brian here for composing our outro. Please smash that like button, like and subscribe, leave a comment, recommend to your friends. Show this episode to your local beauty queen. I'm sure she'll really appreciate it. And that's largely it, other than this last segment, which is going to kind of spoil the new movie Strange Darling, even though I'm not going to get into specifics. So if anyone wants to leave, they are now permitted to leave, or if they have to leave for time reasons. I know, Scott, you wanted to leave, and Jason, it sounded like a time reason you needed to leave.
Yeah, I've got something I got to do.
Okay.
I haven't seen that movie, and I got to go to the toilet.
Okay.
So I'll probably leave too.
I've also got to hang out.
Okay, well, me and Brian will talk about Strange Darling for a couple minutes.
All right, see you guys later.
All right,
bye, Jason.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye, Scott. Bye, Brian. Bye,
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Connor.
Bye.
Thank you, Connor.
Bye.
Great show.
Thank you.
See you next month, Connor.
Yeah.
See you soon. Brian, I originally wasn't going to do this as its own section, but I want to give a genuine stinker award to Strange Darling. Light spoilers ahead. I'm not going to spoil anything specific, but if you have half a brain and have seen a movie, you'll probably be able to figure it out. I don't really understand why you would like this movie. The two reasons I could see why somebody would like this movie is, one, if you hate women. And two is if you're just totally oblivious to that kind of stuff and you're into the sort of like 35 millimeter Tarantino wankery. of
Yes,
what's going
yeah.
on, because it is shot well on 35 millimeter, something the movie is very hot to show you at the very beginning with the title card. The actors are also good, but I don't want to give them too much credit because they presumably read the script before agreeing to make the film. I had a borderline.
But who knows? Maybe it felt better in the script when they first read it or something. You know, because like, I mean, the amount of Tarantino-esque things that are pulled out without doing the good things that Tarantino does is kind of baffling.
Yeah, I have a kind of borderline inflammatory statement here about one of the cast members, and I'm gonna cut that because I want to be generous. I don't want to be too mean. I'll tell you when we stop what I was gonna say, because I do think it's kind of funny at least. I almost gave the movie the benefit of the doubt, even while it made me roll my eyes a bunch. It starts with Strange Darling, a thriller in 6 chapters, and cuts to chapter 3, and like, oh yeah, I've seen a Tarantino movie before. But then it gets to a scene with some cops towards the end, and I really turned on it. I actually flipped the screen off while watching that scene, and the rest of the movie, I was like sitting in my chair like.
Oh, so you watched it at home? You didn't even watch it in the theater?
No, I watched it in the theater. I just nobody was sitting next to me.
I see what you're saying.
No one was sitting next to me, and I was just like leaning.
Copy, yeah.
I was like leaning over into the. Just like, fuck me.
I had the complete opposite, where I had like a pretty empty theater, and the guy sat directly next to me. You know, it was one of those moves.
Yeah. It was a decently packed theater, but no one was next to me on either side. Like I sat in the row that has a bunch of the handicap seats, but I sat in the little section right in the middle. So it was like packed, but it wasn't packed enough to
I went to like an afternoon on a Thursday, so that opening Thursday or opening weekend. So it was people really hadn't talked about it yet, other than knowing it was at the Vista. I really didn't know anything about it prior to that.
It's basically All Women Do Is Eat Hot Chip and Lie About Being Raped, the movie. And I know I like some problematic stuff, and you would even, because you're not really into De Palma, but I think even we were talking last night, have to admit that like that shit's like decades old, and 2, it's not incel reactionary the way this stuff is. Like it doesn't hate.
It's the male gaze thing more than anything else. It's more male gaze.
It's more typical kind of how you're raised. This is very like almost like Andrew Tate coded, that kind of like hating women where it's like borderline kind of gay. And I mean, that's one of the reasons the cop scene really rubbed me the wrong way, and why I was giving it, because you could feel that stuff in the rest of the movie, but when you get to that cop scene and they're literally using phrases I heard get thrown around in the Me Too movement, but in like a reversal way, like trying to like undermine it, things like, oh, we got to figure out what's going on here, like shit like that. And then I know you point out there's these multiple gendered insults near the end met with laughter. And I'm not in, I mean, I've how many times have I said pussy as an insult in the last couple hours, but
it's all context, you know, and that's the big thing. Like, whereas this, you know, they say bitch and cunt just for, so like, you know, it's the audience, the dudes can go like, fuck yeah. And it was just a weird bro fuel that just felt really, really out of place despite everything else.
Yeah, I've seen people online try to defend it as like, well, that character was being a dumb bitch, but it's like, well, you know, the writer-director got to decide what happens in the movie. Like the whole movie, it's basically the I drew you as the ugly one and me as the handsome one. Checkmate. Like that's the entire movie is building up to a point where it can present you a situation in which like, you have to agree with me because of this very specific engineered situation.
I think even the way they made her the kink, the ultra kink, and you know, it was like if you go against it, it's kink shaming, but then it also gives that ability to sort of go like, you know, she's kind of like asking for that kind of stuff, you know, like it's a really weird door that it all opens up. Because I think, like you said, it's all reverse.
I've seen people try to defend it also as be like, well, the guy's actually not that good of a person either, and it's like, in what way? Like he does cocaine, like who cares? Like in the context of a movie doing cocaine, and I mean this, okay, I'm about to say some legit spoiler stuff, so if you don't want spoilers for this, I mean, I don't give a shit because fuck this movie, but I know a lot of people do, so if you're watching this, you know, but like he does what? He does cocaine and he like chases after her but he's a cop. and she's a fucking murderer, like a serial killer. So like, in what cinematic reality is what he does anywhere close to as bad as what she does? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like the whole movie's engineered to create like a very specific situation in which a woman is lying about being raped, essentially.
Well, I mean, I think even that cop scene at the end, the way that she sets that up is like literally going like, haha, see, yeah, you're right, this is what women do.
Yeah,
it just felt weird.
It's very strange. Yeah, I've also seen people defending this movie online in the vein of like, well, keep these critiques for like a corpo Disney movie, but like, those movies are better. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what else was shot on 35 millimeter? Detective fucking Pikachu. A better movie. So, you know, I think if people want to see this, they should. I think in order to have a conversation about a movie, you should actually see the movie. But I think you should buy a ticket to Deadpool and Wolverine and sneak in. That's my recommendation. Because fuck this movie.
Yeah, it's a good recommendation for sure. Because I think we were talking about it because you know, I saw it right before any of that hype happened and everything, and I was totally like confused walking to the car. I was just like, it looked good, it performed well, but there were just things that stuck out. Like I said, and the more we had that conversation, the more it grew into a negative. That wasn't just one of those. Because I think, like you said, there's all problematic stuff here and there, but it's just kind of where those lines blur. Yeah, and this one was just one of those where they're not trying to do like, hey, here's a fucked up character. Yeah. He does fucked up things.
Exactly.
You're like, we're gonna like do thematically things that are fucked up in a different way.
And I even saw people trying to compare it to like, oh, well, you hate like the character in Gone Girl. It's like, no, because that character isn't engineered and designed. I mean, one, the character was written by a woman originally.
Sure.
And honestly, there's ideas here that could be interesting. Probably the interesting version of this movie is made by women and not by a dude. But even then, like, there's something to be said about, you know, men who are falsely imprisoned for rape and like things that are complicated. But this movie, I don't think, is actually trying to have that conversation. It's using that as like a cheap like smoke screen to like trick people into thinking that it's doing something interesting.
That's why it's gotten that 96% of Rotten Tomatoes, because again, it looks good, it sounds amazing. I mean, like, it does a lot of those things where like, if you're not looking beyond, you know, below those layers, why are you gonna have a problem with it, I guess? Yeah. You know, because even I scrolled through Letterboxd and looking at everything and the amount of praise it's getting, it was interesting.
The people who are negatively, I've started one of the highest negative reviews on there that's rated. I've started engaging in the comments. I like wrote like Hell's comment section, and somebody else like commented saying that the reviewer should be euthanized, and I told them that they should seek professional help.
That's fair.
Because it is fair. But yeah, and Croc is...
and not to do too many spoilers, but just because it's interesting seeing Blink Twice a couple days after that. You know, thematically, you have some sort of similar themes in the way you're doing things, and how one was treated versus the other are night and day, which is just crazy.
Croc in the chat is talking to Detective Pikachu was shot on 35 millimeter. Apparently, that was a cinematographer decision because he wanted to capture like a noir detective look.
Oh yeah, that's cool though.
But yeah, and
they didn't have to throw up a shot on 35 at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
which,
no. Yeah, but also check out. I'll link this on YouTube. On this same channel, I made a little like 45-second video review of it that I also think is pretty funny. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me for this little thing. I didn't want to do... There's part of me that was like, well, should we do a whole episode? It's like, I don't want to draw attention to this movie more.
Well, and then have to like think about it even more for like a month or whatever before that would come into play. Yeah, not worth it. It's already out of my brain for sure.
Yeah.
Beyond this conversation.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, and I want to say thanks again to all the people who were here, and I'll see everyone soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys.